This National RTAP training tutorial focuses on the stop coordinates, how to identify them, and complete the Stops tab. You're open in the single file GTFS generator to the Stops tab, and let's view how bus stops, once they're published, would look at Google Maps on a flat map, an aerial map, and as you zoom in, maybe those icons become more visible to you. This is Apple Maps, the same two stops along Highway 101 at Clearwater Road. This is a flag stop. It has a stop ID you can see and that the bus stop is accessible. Our focus is to save you time. Please reach out to any of these organizations to see if they might have a bus stop database for your agency. For example, a tribal, state, county, or city GIS department, regional or metropolitan planning organization. You may have scheduling software for paratransit or microtransit that have also mapped your locations. Automated vehicle location software may have your stop locations. Adjacent agencies may have some shared stops. A marketing department may have prepared a map. Ask around. I've been surprised that sometimes I find the stop information on the website, even if the person generating an NTD report didn't know to look there. When we ask our GIS experts, we need decimal degrees, if possible, 6 decimals past the dot. Here's an example of a latitude longitude. It's WGS 84. Precision is very helpful. We're going to reuse bus stops when they are shared among different routes and trips. Additional best practices for locations and stop names include being precise. You'll want to mark the tree, the bench, the shelter. You want the bus stop out of the road. If you do have a bus stop with the same name on the timetable but opposing sides of the street, that needs to be marked as 2 separate stops. The same name can be reused. Match your signage, your website, and your printed material to the stop name. The street names are better. Sometimes businesses go out of business and you won't have to reprint. Please use sentence case, not all caps. And when you do need a capitalization, like an abbreviation, use a period between those so it'll be clear that it's an abbreviation. Avoid using commas, as this is comma-separated values. Google Maps is where you will see a trip planner once you publish your data. We will now review Google MyMaps, where we can create bus stops. We will demonstrate 2 methods for locating bus stop coordinates. You can choose which one is best for your organization. These include Google Earth Pro and Google My Map. Both will be used in this tutorial to locate on a map your bus stops and eventually in other videos to modify a trip alignment or shape. Finally, we will discuss how to import into our spreadsheet existing bus stops you may already have available to you. Let's start by mapping this route using Google Earth Pro. Locate Google Earth in your search bar. Then in the top navigation, go to Tools. Options. In the 3D view, we select OpenGL and decimal degrees. In the tab labeled Navigation, we might consider not allowing for tilting. To add some additional rich content, choose the layers on the left, open that up, and from there we are going to select roads if they are not selected with a checkbox, and also down in More, the transportation layer. So if there's any available content that would be helpful to us, we've turned it on. To start doing our mapping, we go into the search bar at the top, type in a location, and then the map starts loading quickly and bringing you to that location. We've now moved the map to the location where we want a bus stop. In this case, because the data is live at Google Maps, there is a bus stop icon near and where we want to put one. Across the top, we have an untitled place marker, and then we move that pop-up window that will put the name of the bus stop out of the way so that we can work on the map. We locate that pin. As it's flashing, you move it around. And then in the new place marker, we add the name, Lower Ho Tribal Center. and we type that in, and we start to see that apply to the pin, and then we say OK to the pop-up. Once we've selected that pop-up on the left, we choose Copy, which is a right-click on the selected pin, and then we go over to our sample data or your working data to the Stops tab. In that blank row, we double-click. That pops up a number 3 in our pop-up, and then we choose number 4. Our next step is to say OK. And when we do that, it's telling us in row number 2, we're going to drop in the data that we've copied, and the stop name goes into column A, and we move it over to column C. The lat and long have landed where they need to in their proper columns. Now we will focus on MyMaps for creating bus stop locations. This is especially helpful when we're sharing the bus stop map with others in our organization that may be hundreds of miles away. In the mapping of this same particular route that we've worked with moments ago, we're going to go to drive.google.com, and we will open up our drive, and we need to be logged in at a Google account, a Gmail account, in order to edit the map and work on creating a new one. We might create a folder for this project, a new folder, and name that folder Jefferson Transit. We'll open that folder so that we can add information like a new, scroll down to more, Google My Maps. Google Maps opens, we choose Create, and we have an untitled map with an untitled layer. I suggest going to the base map and turning on satellite. I find it very helpful to see the trees and everything else. For the untitled map, if you double click on that word, it will allow you to type in Jefferson Olympic or whatever name you'd like to give to your bus stop overall map. For each of the layers, you go to the 3 dots and type in a name for the layer. You might want to sort by route or have one data set. If you create a layer that you do not need and decide you want to delete it, choose the 3 dots and delete that layer. Similar to Google Earth, we're going to use the search bar and start looking for a place or name or intersection that's close to where we want to put our bus stop. And that green pin is identified as the place that we searched for. That is not where our bus stop is. It's just getting us close to an area where we'd like to put a bus stop. When we want to turn off the green pin, we go up above the layers, click the X. Now we are aware of where we want our bus stop, and in this case, because we've had a bus stop before, a blue pin bus stop is shown on the map, and we type in our name for that bus stop and we save it. If we need to edit it or assign a color to it, we can do that as well. And now we're looking for the next bus stop area that we'd like. In this particular case, we're using some of the place names to find our bus stop. You would be using intersections and parts of town or in your community on the reservation where you'd like these bus stops to go. Each direction of a bus stop would be named possibly the same name, but northbound and southbound. If you need to edit a bus stop, you use the pencil, and you can modify the name for that bus stop or add it if it was missed. Now that we have all the bus stops that we need, we go to the top 3 dots, scroll down to export to KML KMZ. Don't choose the entire map, choose the layer that you'd like to move. Export that layer as KML and download. When that downloads to your computer, we now have a untitled folder that we will name whatever we'd like to organize our data. Jefferson Olympic, in this case, we double click on that folder to receive the KML file from Google Earth that was downloaded moments ago. We're not actually going to stay very long here at Google Earth. We just right-click on the globe for untitled layer, and we copy and find our way to the Stops tab of our workbook. Available empty cell in column A, in this case it's A2. Double-click, pops up a window. We choose number 4 to paste what's in our buffer onto the screen and then move those stop names into column C. Our next exploration using Google MyMaps is to view a list of bus stops that you might inherit from one of those data sources. It's important for you to fully visualize where those bus stops are. So we were given a list. It may not exactly look like this, but it should have a Latin along and maybe a stop name. And we're going to copy that list into Google Sheets in order to bring it into Google Maps. So with a copy, we go into our drive for drive.google.com, and we're using a new sheet, and we just go to the first cell, A1, and hit paste with the data that we had in Excel. And we can rename this by touching the untitled file name there. Whatever method that works, we're putting this into the same folder that we've been working in. And then when we want to add a layer and display the information, we go to Google Drive. I like to choose Recent, and we can double click and very quickly load in the latitude, stop lat. We have a choice of latitude and longitude from our tabs and names. We're matching that up, and the longitude, and then it asks next if you'd like to use a stop ID. I like to use the stop name. That's more native and easier for me to understand. We now have the bus stops that
imported, and we can check each stop and make sure it's in the correct location. We can adjust each stop as needed, and then
we, same process as before, the 3 dots in the top row, export to KML, export the map. We're now choosing the layer named Old Stops. Control-C, copy those items under the globe, and hit paste by going to the first cell, A2, first empty cell in column A, double-click, typing in a number 4, and saying yes, OK. And then yes to paste. We remove what's in column C by moving what's in column A. We now have a list of bus stops with their updated locations. We now need to assign a stop ID, which allows us to create a code or a number for each of these stops that we'll reference when we build our schedules. We might build down using that bottom right corner. We might do 10, 20, 30 if we think there are going to be other stops added. Stops do not need to be in a stop order by number. This is a reference that will be used in building the schedules. This agency has a stop code in column B that's used by the writer. We notice for Clearwater Road, we had that it was northbound and southbound, and we'd like to update it to flag stop. Stop description is not used at this time, so you could tuck in the SB and NB if that would be helpful to you. These next columns are not used as often, but Zone ID would allow you to have fares by zone. Stop URL not used very often, so you might leave that blank. Location type and parent station are related to a transit center where you might have in specific stops within transit center. We often leave stop time zone blank. However, if you are doing time zone differences, you would fill that in. And a number 1 confirms that the wheelchair boarding is one that we'd like you to fill in to help persons with mobility needs. Stop is a wheelchair accessible stop. If you leave it blank or enter 0, the writer will not know if that stop is accessible. A number 2 confirms that it is not accessible. And now we have a number 1 for all of our accessible stops, and the writer can see that on a trip plan. We have one more piece of magic. In our Stops tab, if you choose inside of the data cells, not the row number, and double-click, you're going to see a number 3, and that's going to pop that bus stop, if you say OK, that location, to Google Maps. And from Google Maps, you can zoom in, turn satellite imagery on, maybe even use the peg view in the bottom right corner and see that that bus stop location is accurately placed. and reconfirm it. We've identified coordinates and completed the Stops tab. Reach out to us if there are any questions at National RTAP.